Hey guys, I wanted to have a girls chat today because me and one of my really good friends had one of the best conversations on my birthday. It felt like one of those sisterhood girl chats and discussions that need, and when I say need, I mean need to happen so much more often. All right, hear me out. I'm going to tell this story as quickly and short as possible without giving too much details because honestly, guys, it's not about the people in the story. It's more about the learning that occurred from the story. So I have a good friend who's in a new relationship. She's known the gentleman for some time now. I have had an opportunity to meet him, and I shared with her, yes, technically I met him. You know, we sat down and we shared a meal, but I still feel like I don't know anything about him. I am not the type of person that feels like I understand someone well if when I meet you, it feels like a job interview. I hate it. I hate when I'm meeting someone for the first time and it's a series of questions that I feel like this is what someone who wants to employ me is going to ask me. It has become this conventional norm in the US of A. I know it is typical for most people and it feels completely normal to meet someone for the first time and sit down and go, so what do you do for a living? Oh my God. I much rather know about your hobbies and what your favorite food is because I feel like those things are going to help me get to know you as a person. And so I shared all this with her and she's like, totally get it, completely understand it. And then she said something that scared the shit out of me. Swear to God. She said something along the lines of, it's not a direct quote. She said, I understand why you feel that way, totally respect it. There are things about my partner that I have not shared with you because I'm afraid that you're going to judge him. And it stopped me in my tracks. I didn't say anything. And then she rephrased. She said, you know what, Jessica? I know you well enough to know that that's not true. That's not true. She was like, you wouldn't judge him. And I was like, thank you, because you know me well enough to know that's not how I get down. And she said, the truth of the matter is, I know things about him that I have not come to accept just yet, that I am judging him about. And so I don't want to share that because I don't want it to taint how my friend circle feels about this person. And I looked at her and I said, that is not okay. The words just jumped out of my mouth. I actually think I said, that's not healthy. And I say that because myself leaving an unhealthy relationship, that was one of my biggest learnings, was that I had spent so much time in that relationship moving and operating in a way that was going to protect my partner, that was going to protect his image and how the world saw him and how he was able to move through the world. And that became so much of my focus that I lost myself in the process, and I became so unhappy and so miserable that by the time I said, you know what, I want a divorce, and I filed for divorce, everyone around me was confused as shit. And I completely understand why. Because they're like, Jess, you have spent the past how many years sharing all of this positive stuff about this person, and now all of a sudden you're saying you want to leave? What the hell is going on? And at that point, the floodgates just opened and everything came spilling out. All of the truth, all of the unhappiness, all of the hurt, all of the abuse and mistreatment that was going on in that relationship. And my friends and family were sitting there looking at me and they asked the question that so many of us would ask, why didn't you say anything? And at the time, I said I didn't say anything because I was embarrassed. And part of that is still true. But I wasn't embarrassed because it was happening. I was embarrassed because I had allowed myself to stay in a relationship that I knew wasn't healthy. Like, I knew the truth. I knew that I had been lying. I knew that I had been telling these half-truths because I was so concerned about how the world was going to see this other person. And that happens so much with us, especially as Black women. We exert so much of our energy trying to protect the image of Black men. And it hurts us. It hurts our friendships, it hurts our relationships, and it hinders us from growing. And so I got to a place where I was able to share all of this with my good friend. And as soon as I said it, it was like my truth and vulnerability then gave her permission to explore what it was she had been feeling. And this conversation happened on my birthday, which felt so magical, but it allowed her to then say, okay, let me think about kind of how that applies to me. And she ended up opening up and sharing all of the stuff that she was keeping to herself. And I swear to God, you guys, we fell out laughing because once she said it out loud, she was like, it's not that big of a deal, is it? And I said, girl, the stuff you just shared with me, nobody cares. Like, it was the most simple and basic stuff, but it helped her understand it was something that she is uncomfortable with. And because she's uncomfortable with it, it's a conversation that she then needs to have with her partner. Rather than suppressing those feelings, hiding those feelings, feeling uncomfortable with those feelings, it was time to share those feelings. And we sat there and talked for maybe about 2 hours. And when we finished, she was like, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. And I was like, yes, this is what good conversations are supposed to feel like. You are supposed to feel like this weight has been lifted, that what you were holding on to wasn't that deep or dark, because there are so many of us in the world that are open-minded and have experienced something similar. And so she got to walk away feeling lighter. I got to walk away feeling lighter. And then eventually she ends up calling me and she thanked me again. She's like, thank you for that conversation. I really appreciate you, because it has helped me see this entire relationship from a different point of view. It's understanding that, yes, it's my relationship. I'm the one that's in it. I'm the one that's going through it. And I'm the one that's dating this person. But because I love and care about my friends and family too, their relationship with this person matters. And I want them to get to meet the real him. I want them to know this about him too, because I want them to accept him for who he is, his whole and complete self. And the learning that I got from that was the value of honesty, the value of vulnerability, and this reoccurring theme and message that I think we just need to sit with and contemplate a bit more is why, as women, we still hold on to this belief that it is our duty and responsibility to make sure the image of the partner in our life is so beautiful and stellar and radiant for the rest of the world. But then there are things that we don't like and that we're unhappy with that we feel like we have to keep to ourselves, because if we share them, it taints that person's image. When in all honesty, all we are doing is sharing the truth. The truth is who we are. The things we say, the things we do, they impact the people around us. And that vulnerability and truth and honesty is so freaking important. And first and foremost, we need to do it with ourselves. Stop making excuses. That's the big takeaway. Stop making excuses. Stop saying, I'm afraid to say this because I'm afraid of what this person is going to think or feel. That's you. You are predicting that. You are projecting that. Be honest. Find your safe circle. Find your safe people and have those conversations, because you cannot get honest feedback. You cannot get what you need in order for you to feel seen, heard, valued, safe, protected, if you are not telling the whole and complete story out of fear. That is the moral, that is the message. And I know that because I felt that shit in my spirit when I said it. We cannot let fear hold us back. Say it. Be honest. Ask for help if you need it. Please. That is my message to you. As women, especially as Black women, let's have those conversations more often. Love you guys. All right. Until next time. Cheers.